Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of my Adventure Mode tutorial Let's Play, where we are playing as our goblin friend here. If you've been wondering what the big break between episodes was, I was sick for a couple days, and if I sound kind of backed up, that is also the reason for it. In the last episode, we had epic training montages where we trained up some skills. Now we're going to go back to adventuring along on our journey. I've also heard rumors from our friends around here and spaces out in the endless ethers of the magic abyss that apparently our other adventuring friend Lurit is just outside. So we're going to go meet up with her, and then we are going to continue heading northeast. After slaying the Etten in the last episode, it is very likely that we'll be able to get even further, and hopefully make some good distance towards our inevitable goal of getting to the far away towns in the northeast. So we're going to start up a conversation with our friend Lurit here and ask them to come with us. We're going to greet them and they say, "It is good to see you, Praise Suicide. It is really a pleasure to speak with you again. It's a pleasure that I noticed you after the last recording, otherwise I would have actually left you here." Once I'm in this speech screen, we can go down to ask a favor, place request, make demand, or issue order. We're going to ask the listener to follow me, and they say yes. Let's go. So, let's get back to it. We're going to just simply wander around for a little bit and see kind of where our adventuring buddies are at here. Let's quickly speak with Udi, who's been, watching us try and climb walls for a while. Once we're in the conversation screen, I'm going to simply ask them about how the listener is feeling. I ask them how they're feeling right now, and they say that they're very satisfied. Well, that's good. So far, our first friend here is satisfied, which is very good. So they're satisfied specifically because they got into an argument with some human back in the tavern, probably while we were climbing around. You may have even seen that text in the background. On to the next person over here, our friend Thomo. Thomo, once we greet them, they say it's a pleasure to speak with me again. After I tell them to not try to throw their weight around, I guess they're kind of an imposing individual. I mean, look at that face. Obviously, they must be kind of a thing from the Fantastic Four kind of vibe going on to them. We're gonna ask how the listener is feeling, and they say, I saw a performance of the fragrances of lathering. It is interesting. Well, your skin must need some lathering, so I could understand that. We're gonna move on to our final friend here, and see if Lurit has anything interesting to say on this afternoon. They say life is in a word suicide. Well, some things never change with you, Lurit. And I'm gonna inquire about any troubles. And apparently they're still on about this wolf. Many things never change. See if they know where it is. Well, they do know where it's living, and it's a day's travel to the north, if you will. Even though our friend here doesn't state specifically where the wolf is, we always have this prompt to ask where Strangle Dumbrass is. And so I asked where Strangle Dumbrass was in relation to the wolf, and they gave me a detailed description. Let's see if that happens to be the lair for the wolf. I'm gonna go up to the overall overworld, and I'm going to scroll up, and look at this. We now have the location of a human castle, which has a lair close by it called Strangle Dumbrass. Well, it's not exactly on our way. However, it will allow us to make our traveling companion significantly happier. So how about we head up in that direction? As we start to travel, and the more we travel, the more of these little icons you'll see on the map. These little tents, those are points of interest. We've attended a couple of them already, and you'll find more of them just simply by hanging around in taverns, because random bar attendees and various patrons will talk about things, and you can overhear these conversations. Locations of bandit camps, or refugees that might need robbing, or perhaps refugees that might need saving. It depends on who you intend to be in that playthrough. Just like this big cave up here. And it looks like that might be our destination, in fact. And it's getting a little late, so I'm going to pull back a little bit of a ways from this cave. I'm going to drop out, and I'm going to check to see if we're tired. We are not. But there is a very large bird right here, just a kestrel. We're going to jump back up to fast travel, because we're not getting tired. Now might not be a bad time to attack this wolf. It's going to, real quick, zoom out by hitting the square bracket on the keyboard. Zoom out a little bit. Now let's see if we can find this wolf. So it says that up here on the compass, you can see the lair of Strangle Dumbrass is a short walk to the northeast. And Mengdu, our friend here, says, I saw a performance of the fragrances of lathering. It's interesting. And Lurit says, a beast from the wilds is harassing our people, and we're almost there. And Mengdu says it's terrifying. So northwest we must go. So it seems a bit of a diagonal. This should only be a wolf, so this shouldn't be too difficult for us, but stranger things have happened. This seems like a cave. I spotted it just on the ground here, so I can now... Yeah, that's definitely a cave. Can now zoom in a little bit using the square brackets. We're gonna move forward and drop down and in. Let's move closely and carefully. No sounds yet, but something stood up. So it's still telling me it's southwest, meaning, yes, this is a cave. Okay, so this is in fact the cave of our creature. So all that we can do now is simply wait for a while. We cannot rest right here because it's a lair, so I'm gonna move slightly out of the way, and we're gonna wait for 3 hours. Sun's up. Whoa, wolves. Well, that answers our question of the creature. So now, well, I waited for a turn and a bunch of things happened. So what has happened so far is a friend of ours, one of our companions, fired a bronze arrow, which struck a wolf in the upper body, tearing the muscle in the middle spine's nervous tissue, and a bronze arrow was launched firmly in the wound. And Sethos says, I cannot just stand by. This must require an answer. And the fat wolf attacks Mugdu, but he jumps away, and the frail wolf attacks me, but I jumped away. So now a few more turns go through, but it seems like nothing has gone horribly wrong just yet. So what we're gonna do is just start smacking them, I think, because I don't know if I have a way of discovering which one of these creatures is in fact the wolf. I'm gonna go after this muscular one because it's probably one of the bigger threats. Now, as somebody else pointed out in one of the previous episodes, in older versions of the game, the attacks of opportunity would always show up at the top. This is true. However, you need to remember, we're still playing on a beta, right? A lot of things in this menu aren't finished, and a lot of things in adventure mode aren't finished. Little quality of life, things like that will come in due time. But let's go after its left rear leg right now. And of course, our attack of opportunity is gonna be something silly, so we're gonna kick it. And we dodge out of the way, it appears. And you kick the muscular wolf in the rear leg, bruising the muscle. And why isn't our friend here helping? Also, are you bleeding, or are you just nope, you're just standing in a puddle of it. I'm gonna continue a conversation with you. Apparently, we're being hostile right now, so I'm going to ask them to cease hostilities. And now they're on our side. I'm not entirely sure why Lurit wasn't fighting for us for a moment there. Maybe it was because I threatened to leave them. The fat wolf bites Mugdu in the hand, tearing the fat through the wool, through the alpaca wool left glove. Well, hang in there, friend. We need you to stay with us. And Lurit says, I will fight no more. And then I continue the conversation with Lurit, and I ask about somebody, and let's ask about the wolf, and see if the wolf is here. Frail wolf bites Sebshus in the left foot from behind, bruising the muscle through the leather sandal. The wolf is, and it latches on firmly. That's pretty bad, but it appears one of our friends got bit and it latched on firmly, but Mugdu was able to block another attack. And scrolling down through here, it just says it's a dangerous animal. Okay, so isn't sure which one is our actual target here. All that we know is that they all must die, because if they don't, we will. So let's finish the fight. Because I'm relatively confident in this fight, I'm actually just bump attacking and not going through the process of using the complicated in-depth attacks. Bump attacking is where you just simply bump into a character using the directional keys or control method of your choice, or by right-clicking on a character and then clicking attack. If you're one-on-one, especially with a wild animal, and you've fought this kind of thing before, you're probably okay. Now, because these are only temporary party members and not full companions, I can't control them, and it appears that some of our friends are actually taking some pretty rough little bites, although fortunately most of our companions here have armor. Let's check in on them real quick. Ebby's fine. Mogdu's fine. And Lurit is stunned, but fine. Well, let's keep whacking. Looks like we got a good lash on that wolf, from behind specifically, chipping the bone. Well, I was trying to get to that wolf to help, but it appears our friend here got it first. I think this fight is turning on our side. We're gonna start running after this one wolf over here in the corner, who has yet to join the attack itself. I'm gonna try starting a conversation with it, and I'm going to demand that it yield. Come back, you stupid pupper. I'm here to whack you with my whipper. Going to investigate them and say, "Who do you work for?" Strangely enough, the wolf isn't responding. Going to try again. I'm gonna ask the listener to join me. Join me on adventures! Strangely enough, it still hasn't responded. So instead, I will simply whack it with my whip. And for a insult to injury final blow, let's go for the neck, make it a heavy attack, and we'll whip it. You lash the muscular wolf in the neck from behind with your silver whip, bruising the muscle and tearing the upper spine's nervous tissue. So, let's speak with our friend here. I'm going to bypass the greeting. I'm going to inquire about any troubles. Atta wheeled round to the wolf. Well, that's a little questionable. Ask for the whereabouts of them, and they say probably on the move or deep underground. Well, I guess now the question simply remains, at this point. Did we kill Atta wheeled round? Well, we never know. I suppose we'll never quite know if we got the actual wolf itself, but we found the lair and definitely took out a number of their friends. I think now is a time for us to take hold of the ones we hold most dear, eat some sturgeon brain, and continue on our journey. For the day is still young and there's plenty of traveling to be done. Far into the unknown. Since it's getting very dark, we're gonna pop into this little town here and see if we can crash for the night. Just gonna walk in, see how things are going. We are very drowsy, so it's definitely been a long day of traveling. I'm gonna put away my weapon by hitting Q on the keyboard so people know I'm not a threat. Of course, you can also do that by clicking this little button right here. Of course, you can also do that by clicking on the little sheath your weapon button, this one. Quick draw, which I always think is this one, but regardless. Ooh, sandals. Clothing. All human sized though. Hello, Poison. So it's a human farmer and we greet them. I say, hello, I'm Bora Learnwalk, and they say, hello, I am Curio Backentrance. And I say, well, how are you feeling, Backentrance? And they say, I have encountered a fascinating conundrum recently. Well, that's an interesting thing to say to somebody with no context. Also, they appear to have left the room. Come back, sir. I must speak with thee. Wait, did you walk back inside and I simply missed? I think they did. Oh, there they are. Okay. Let's continue a conversation with Kuro, and I will once again greet the listener, and then the door closes. So instead, I will greet you. Hello, friend. How are you? I'm Bora Learnwalk, and they say, hi, I'm Oben. This servant of Donu, Tombbones, the dead grave, greets you. Let's ask if they could give us permission to stay for a day and make this place like a tomb for our sleeping bodies. And they say, it would be terrible for somebody to defend for themselves after sunset. And then I reopen the conversation and say, make a flattering remark. And they say, spare me the compliments. And I say, but what if I asked you about the neighbors and trade partners? And they said, the village of Match Gleeful, go to Stasis Glaze to trade. There are 26 villages which utilize the market there. Oh, okay. Do you have a directions to Stasis? Oh, you walk through the door. Okay. Let's continue this conversation, and I will ask for directions to Stasis, and they don't seem to have any directions to that place, so either I'm missing a step or they don't know where it is, which is odd. But regardless, we have permission to sleep, so I shall do that. Jumping up to the overworld, let's see if we can spot it. Ah, there it is, down on the road. It's not too hard for us to grab. A market would be an excellent place for us to pick up extra supplies. Fortunately, the rain has washed all the blood off of our clothes. I hope they didn't mind the blood on the floor. So we're going to travel down to this road, just south of us, and then follow it to the corner where this human town is, which is also run by a group called, sorry, not by a group, but right next to a stream called the Squashed Zealot, which is just Funny on many levels. Okay, let's travel a little bit along this road and see if we can find this town. I think I've already spotted it. It tends to stand out on the horizon. See this one down here with the big castle in it? That's probably it. Now, fortunately, we can cross these little rivers very easily by just simply lining the little character up with it. Okay, so we have got general imports. There's a food market. Wow, okay, yeah. We're gonna just back up here so we can get an idea of the actual grandeur of this town. But before we run into the town, I'm just gonna jump back up to the overworld and I'm gonna scan around a little more and see if I can find any more towns. Because with human locations, there are several different levels. Hamlets are kind of the smallest ones, then there's towns, and then there's cities. I haven't seen any cities in a long time, but essentially towns have a lot more going on than just the little hamlets. Something else we need to keep an eye out for is sewer access, but I'll talk about that if I spot it. Right away, we notice a statue. I take a peek at it. It's a tetrahedrite statue of the Radiant Ruin. The item is an image of the Radiant Ruin, the deity of rainbows and light, depicted as a female human in tetrahedrite. I wonder if that was intended to rhyme or if that was just happenstance. Wow, look at all these lion people. They're all just lying around. Well, lion man and lion lady. Okay, so we've got what appears to be a pretty nice little market. Of course, the lions are selling meats. Go figure. But it looks delicious. I would love to purchase myself some gazelle heart. Let's just buy 5 of them. 5 individual servings of gazelle heart. And now, you might wonder, Blind, why are you and your goblin just stealing food when 1, you don't need it, and 2, let's just say that that you don't have a way to pay for it. Well, it's because currently, in the version of the game that I am playing, trading isn't fully implemented. Fortunately, neither is theft. So, I can just walk in and take this stuff, and the game won't let me fast travel because it'll slap me on the wrist for stealing, but the benefit of it is we can walk through these markets and get a variety of neat little things without having to, worry about getting yelled at. Now, our character does like to eat, so let's maybe grab a potato and eat it. I just picked up a whole barrel, so let's drop that before I die of over-encumbrance. I take a potato, and we give it a num-num. I can't eat potatoes, apparently. They must be cooked. Well, instead of that, I will find something else that I can eat. I guess goblin digestive systems aren't that advanced. What a shame. The same would go for yet lesser yam plants. Berries would work, but I think we can do better than that. Look at that, a hyena bone crown. Got some craftsmen. And remember, you can always overhear things going on up here in the conversation screen. The dry hair human planter is going on about how everything must be in its proper place, and our friend here is saying, you must be convinced. Family is complicated and those ties can be both boon and a curse, sometimes both at once. What a contrarian our friend is. Clothing we can't wear. I think we're gonna run back over to these lions because they were the ones with the food. Yes. I'm going to grab me a bit of aardvark spleen, I think. Just 2 of them. I'm gonna press E on the keyboard, scroll down, and we're gonna eat some liver. It's good to have snacks. Let's see what else this town has to offer. If we jump back up to the overworld, we can then move. Oh, once I've moved out of this area and the game doesn't think I'm stealing things anymore. This might not be a bad spot to get a pack mule, actually. So while I do say that theft isn't fully implemented, it is. The game recognizes that I'm stealing things. However, it doesn't really have any way of making me pay for it or causing any sort of repercussions. There is a shrine there called the Sunny Shrine, probably to that gold that we found earlier. There's a tavern here called the Line Berries. And if I move this way, there's a castle. So let's stop here. This is our castle over here, to who owned by presumably whomever runs this place. And you'll notice a little bit of lag when you go to walk into places like a castle. And the reason for that is, well, it's going to be full of a lot of people. Lurit, so this place, by the way, worships the god of rainbows, and our friend here, Lurit, is just like, praise suicide! I love this video game. I'm gonna move forwards, let's see who's in here. The Fire Official! Wow, I like that name. Somebody must take their leave, for it is terrifying. A lot of stuff inside of this bag here. It'd be a shame if someone were to steal some of it. Unfortunately, none of it fits me. God damn it. I could take that spear, though, but don't really need them. Let's go here and move up the stairs. And up the stairs. Now that we're in the upper levels, we can walk in here and see who's in here. Got the High Chief, a Pilgrim, another Master of Beasts, a Prophet, Poet, prophet that is very heavily armed, in fact. The cavernous theaters is at war with us. Trouble started because of a dispute over the treatment of animals. Many wars going on and lots of gossip. Very typical. Dwarven poet? I always question these poets that are, very well armed. I'm going to greet this listener, and I say, greetings, my name is Bora Learnwalk, and this dwarf, who's named Lon, says, Goblin, I am Lon, life is in a word, deformity. Going to inquire about any troubles. They say, well, let's see, we've got the missing treasure. They say, I desire that summit patterned the basis of waxes, the large copper cap be returned to my family. Last I heard, it was held by short-assed, cloistered, scaled. Oh boy, this is a personal, direct reclaim of an item. Is this a dwarf who is pretending to be a poet in this room trying to get it back? Let's see. What is the whereabouts of Shorthast? Namegates is in the Bronze Hill, so they are in somewhere. So Shorthast, who has this person's item, is in a place called Namegates. I'm gonna move up another flight of stairs or two if I can. Now we're in the top flight of stairs. Look at that. Statue of a giant grouper. Jeez. Chamberlain, a pikeman. Okay, let's move back down. Over to this side. Real human mercenary. Let's see, if there's bold white text, it means someone is trying to speak with us. I haven't seen just yet. Fortunately, this world has a lot of public spaces in it. There's a bard, there's a head executioner. Fat head executioner. I know that head executioner is a role, so it's not that their head is big, but that is a very funny statement. I think he's also enraged. We're now speaking with the head executioner. We're going to greet the listener. And I say, hello, my name is Bora Learnwalk. And they say, hi, I'm Met Righteous Boulder. Life is in a word, justice. Well, that checks out. Head cop. Let's ask about any troubles. And they say, the cavernous theaters is at war with us. The trouble started all because of a dispute over the treatment of animals. Well, I don't think we're going to run into too much more in the way of interest here. It's kind of all lining up to just be a lot of complaining about a conflict with another faction, which it's honestly, from my perspective, I have very little care for the conflicts of others. I do, however, have much care for the treasures that I could yoink from others, like this book. Eh! And as I'm heading towards the door, okay, so this lion person here attacked this goblin, and I'm not entirely sure what caused that. Aside from that, now there is a lethal skinny goblin right here. I'm gonna whip out my weapon, although I don't actually have space for my shield. So let's see, what's in my hand? Oh, right, yeah, I've kind of grabbed a book. I'm just gonna drop the book because, crimes. So instead, I'm going to take a peek at you and see what exactly you just did. Start a conversation. I'm gonna brag about my violent acts. I say, I murdered Onil, the rights of gold, who sought my praise only to be rejected in death. Pull out my weapons, including the shield, and I'm going to attack the skinny spearman. What could go wrong? A bolt flies through. The lion says, I cannot just stand by. This might require an answer. We have no idea where this goblin came from. We just know that suddenly shots are flying. Taking a peek at the goblin, they are now bleeding and have attempted to get outside. Fortunately, I can hit them again. They're also now talking. I lashed the skinny goblin with my silver whip, chipping the bone and tearing apart the muscle and bruising the bone and tearing apart the muscle and bruising the bone. A ligament has been torn. And the High Chief says, is that a weapon? What's going on? I mean, mate, there's a goblin attacking us. And the muscular lion man says, I cannot just stand by. This might require an answer. I'm going to ask why they are traveling as my friends attack them and I lose sight. And bits of their clothing start flying off. I'm going to begin another conversation with them if I can and try and get their name before they die horribly. I say goodbye because I have to do that in order to end the conversation, which is just kind of dark. No, I don't believe I can. Everybody's just beating the ever-living crap out of them now. And this is why you don't attack somebody inside of a castle or right next to a castle, because this might very well happen. At least we were on the right side of the fight this time. Just scanning this to see if there's any conversation. I must take my leave. There's no need to feel vengeful. Start a conversation with the head chamberlain. Just ask them to cease hostilities. And she says, never! But I'm not fighting with you. I'm going to express my emotions, my fondness when interacting with a pet. I say I played with my pet. I am fond. And they say death is all around us. It's truly horrifying. But, like, lady, can I ask about the local ruler? The band of Brunch rules Stasis Glaze. Oh, man. Do they also run Denny's? They say that Rithma is Baroness, and we are in the right on all matters. The seat of Ika Girdled Lion also is located here. Change the subject, and I'm going to... I wish I could ask about the goblin whom just died. So instead, what I will do is I will scroll down through here, go to a new menu. I'm going to ask about an incident or rumor. Summarize a conflict in which Ilethe Emerald Breaches attacked Burr. Yes, this. A goblin attacked Burr. It was inevitable. So that was the name of the goblin that just died. Ilethe Emerald Beaches. Human criminal? Let's speak with the human criminal. We asked them to cease hostilities. Everybody is like weirdly tense now, but it's okay. Let's ask about somebody. And it appears that nobody I've tried talking to knows who this goblin was, so aside from that we obviously know, let's see if any of my friends know. I'm gonna greet listener, and they say it's really good to speak with you again. I'm gonna jump to you, and I'm going to ask them about this goblin, Emerald Beaches. And obviously we know nothing either. Well, what a weird situation. Maybe it's best we leave the book and run. Seems like a pretty violent little castle. Now, I did say earlier I should try and find a pack mule. I think that's what we're going to focus on. I'm going to run around town until we find one. But check out this shrine. What a pretty spot. We'll have to explore that. Look at all the lion men. Exciting. Never trust them, though, because they're always lying. Shops selling various items. Lots of dogs. Doesn't seem to be much in the way of any other kinds of animals. A shame. More dogs, more dogs, more dogs. It also appears that they're finally finished unloading everything from the containers. Earlier when we first arrived, the stuff was only just getting set up in the marketplace. Now it's all been unloaded. Well, I don't see anything in the way of pack mules. But this is a place that we probably should rest. So I think we're just going to go over to this lovely statue and pretend that we are hobos, as I hit Shift-Z on the keyboard, and we sleep for 8 hours. This wasn't the most content-dense episode, and the next episode is probably going to be the second to last. The next episode, we're going to travel as far as we can, and by that I mean run to the next town and try and find a mount. And then we're going to travel as far as we can in an episode or two and try and get this journey completed. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. As always, if you've been enjoying these episodes, please do take the time to check the link down in the description where you can go download the save file. In between every episode, at the end of every episode, I make a hard save, and then you can go download it over on the Dwarf Fortress File Depot. The second thing is, these episodes do not make enough money for my time to be worth making them, and it takes me about 2 hours to make an episode of this. If you like these series, check out my Patreon or consider becoming a YouTube member, because that's how I keep these funded. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Although, one caveat, episode 1 always does quite well, so there is that. Thanks for watching.